Match day 20 was a bit mad, isn't it? We are now more than halfway through the season, January. Obviously, the transfer window is now open. FA Cup season is upon us as well. We've already had a few games the last couple of days, but obviously the bread and butter is obviously Premier League. Obviously, match day 20 has just happened. We're going to go through that roundup, and then obviously match day 21 will recommence next weekend. We will start with Kenilworth Road, Luton Town 2, Chelsea 3. Cole Palmer, cold baller. Cold baller. I think people are starting to call him Cold Palmer now, which is stupid, but it makes all the sense in the world. He's even got the celebration where he's like chilly every time he does something amazing. So, yeah, good game. Good game. More for Chelsea in the first half. Second half, Luton got back into it, obviously. Ross Barkley scoring against his former club, but Cole Palmer is different gravy, man. Seriously, baller. Manchester City let him go because I thought they thought they had Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. Julian Alvarez, I know, can actually play on the right wing as well. Because they thought they didn't have an out-and-out replacement for Mahrez when he left. That was him. Cole Palmer was that guy, but I think Palmer wanted to go for regular first-team football, which I completely understand. He's a fixture in that Chelsea lineup. He'll probably end up going on the plane to the Euros as well when England perform in that. But no, cold baller. Chelsea are still terrible though. They still look bad. But in a really terrible team, there's only one shining light, and that's Palmer. Ended up with 2 goals on the day. Is their top goal scorer. Is their top everything. Top dribbler. I think he's their top assist maker as well. Up there with Sterling, I believe. But Luton, I thought gave a good account of themselves. Had a really good run, especially at home. They hadn't lost in a little while, actually. I think that was their first loss in about a month. Against a Chelsea side which didn't really do much in the second half. I thought Luton were decent in the second half. Obviously, Ross Barkley, as stated before, got on the score sheet. Adebayo with another goal as well. But I think Luton could survive this league. I really do. The more I see them, the better they get. There's no change in my mind on that. I really do think they are stronger than at least 2 or 3 of the other teams sort of in and around them. Sheffield United, I believe, are worse off. Burnley, I think, are worse off as well. And I think there's a couple of teams above Luton at the moment that I think the Luton can jump above at the moment. Brentford obviously being sucked into a dogfight as well, which we'll get into next. They were at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 3, Brentford 1. Brentford actually took the lead in this game. Went 1-0 up, and Crystal Palace obviously had a resurgent comeback. Crystal Palace are actually one of those teams that allowed me to win a little bit of money last week as well. I had them in an ACCA of 4-fold, which obviously did hit, but Palace made us wait. Elise and Eze are 2 of the brightest, youngest talents in this league. At this moment in time, there are a few, but those 2 at Palace, I don't see them being at Palace for far too long, to be quite honest. One, if not both, I see leaving in the summer to obviously go to bigger clubs. That's not saying I don't like them at Palace, where they are obviously getting, first team football week in, week out. But those 2 are far too good. Obviously, those 2 are on the score sheet. At least they get in both the goals for Palace. Both Elise's goals were absolutely silly. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Really good goals. Brentford, yeah, they're in the mud at the moment. Loads of injuries to compare with, which I completely understand, but it's a fall from grace, and they're being sucked into a dogfight they don't want to be in, because I don't think they've got the players to get them out. They're not scoring many. They're conceding bagfuls at a canter at the moment, and maybe it's a source of them being found out. Defensively, they're not strong enough. And like I said, the midfield battles, they tend to lose on a regular basis, which is not a good recipe for them. Another loss for them, but a valuable 3 points for Crystal Palace. On to the Etihad, that's Manchester City 2, Sheffield United 0. Formality result, this one. It's a result that I expected. I thought City would probably get a couple more. I had this down as a 4-0 win to them. They won 2-0 in the end. Goals from Julian Alvarez and, of course, Rodri, who always seems to pop up with important goals once they're needed. Phil Foden is now cooking in that number 10 position, sort of free role where he gets to float about. because Manchester City are so relentless with their possession. They've got so many different attacking phases that they have from start to finish, and that's not even build up from the back. The defenders very, very rarely touch the ball. If you notice in Manchester City, everything is kind of condensed into the midfield. And then obviously once it's in the midfield, that's when all the chaos happens and all the movement happens and everything else. And Man City are just too difficult to contain once they're in the mood. And tap into that now. Kevin De Bruyne is coming back as well. So it's going to be even more certified. They're probably going to win the league for me this year again, as I've been stating before. City, big win this weekend, as stated. Aston Villa 3, Burnley 2. Aston Villa are one of those, I believe, that are going to fall out of the top 4. Picked up a really good result against Burnley. 10-man Burnley, I might add. And they did allow Burnley to score with those 10 men as well. Goal through Lyle Foster. But Aston Villa do look a bit tired. They do look a bit tired, and I don't think they've got the squad to actually push on to the heights they've already obviously got to. They're doing really, really well, don't get me wrong. Currently second in the league, but I do think there'll be a bit of a tail off, especially with Europe coming back round. I don't think they have enough, and I do see them falling out of the top 4. But at the moment, they're going well. 3-2 against a very good Burnley side. This is from Villa Park. I thought Burnley were very excellent in their approach, and then obviously the red card happened. That's when everything got turned on its head. Aston Villa obviously picked up, momentum from that, and had to have a 8th minute penalty to actually kill the game off, because Burnley just would not go away. But Aston Villa, second in the league, they actually play really, really good football. But I just feel like the football that they play, it is tiresome. And they are tiring themselves out. They do look very, very tired. But watch this space. But I do think Aston Villa will just be outside the top 4. I've got them 5th to finish at the moment. On to Molyneux, Wolverhampton versus Everton. Formality result for Wolverhampton. Everton, who were in good form up until last week, until we beat them, went to Wolves and got absolutely bodied. Absolutely bodied from start to finish all over the pitch. Wolverhampton are on an amazing run at home at the moment. I think they're unbeaten in about 11 there at the minute. I think their last loss would have been Liverpool, and we're talking start of the season. So Wolverhampton, Gary Lineker are doing a really, really good job. Everton caught in a bit of a mire as well now. That's their third loss on the bounce, third loss on the bounce at the moment. Yeah, that 10-point deduction obviously hasn't helped. They obviously made that up and won all the games that they did. It seemed to have hit a little bit of a wall now. So it's up to them to get out of this perilous situation that they find themselves in. Them and Luton, for me, I think will be safe. There are another couple of clubs that I think might sort of crawl into that relegation slot. Everton, I don't think will be one of them, because I think they've got enough about them to stay up. Of course, on to the City Ground. This was the Saturday night kickoff. This was Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. The Man United circus continues every week in, week out. Wherever you look, however you dice it, Man United are always going to be the talk of the town, whether they're winning trophies, whether they're losing games, their nonsense transfer activity, whatever you want to say about anything, United will probably be top of that list. And that's not to say that Man United are, the best club in the world at the moment. They're not. Probably one of the biggest and well-known, which we all get. But best at the moment? Absolutely not. And Nottingham Forest absolutely showed them and put them to the sword. United only really got their goal because of a mistake in the Nottingham Forest defence, allowing Marcus Rashford to get onto the score sheet. But Nottingham Forest from start to finish were much better. Showed much more intent. Morgan Gibbs-White, I thought, was excellent on the day. He's really, really good, actually, Morgan Gibbs-White. Now that I think about it, he plays the classic number 10 position, but he does it really well. He does peel back a little bit to come and get the ball from deep, and then obviously from that, he makes everything happen. Everything in front of him. Really, really good display. Dominated the midfield for me. Was my man of the match. Got on the score sheet as well. I thought Anthony Elanga had a really good game as well against his former club. But 2-1, I had Nottingham Forest to win that as well, to be fair. And when they did, so that's a massive 3 points for that, especially after the result they had the week before against Newcastle, which they also won with that Chris Wood hat-trick. Oh, what a game next. We go to Craven Cottage. Fulham 2, Arsenal 1. That's 2 losses on the bounce for Arsenal in 2 London derbies. And Arsenal were atrocious in this one. They thought they were good against West Ham. I thought West Ham were just excellent defensively. But But this one, yeah, Arsenal were wretched, not good. Fulham pretty much bossed it from start to finish. And went a goal behind, funnily enough. A goal against the run of play off Bukayo Saka, who almost missed it. So was very lucky with that. But yeah, Fulham were giving a really good account of themselves. Tom Kearney, I thought, was excellent. Raul Jimenez, who got this first goal for Fulham, was brilliant. Bobby Decordova-Reid got the second for them from a set piece. And Arsenal just had no answer. They had no answer. It might have been to do with the fact that they had West Ham 3 days before that. Fulham had about 6 days rest, so that might have a little bit of something to do with it. But Arsenal didn't have any outlets. They had no attacking responses to what Fulham were doing. Fulham kept possession very, very well, closed up the space, and that's what I said the other week. If you condense the midfield, Arsenal cannot play. As long as you get Odegaard out the game, Bukayo Saka becomes isolated. Gabriel Martinelli's not really up to much anyway. Gabriel Jesus is not a striker. Eddie Nketiah is not good enough. There are so many holes to pick at in this Arsenal team. Declan Rice obviously keeps it all together and keeps things ticking over, but you need to add more, and Arsenal just don't have it. And Arsenal being touted as title contenders is a joke to me, because they are going to get overtaken by us. Where we go next, go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 3, Bournemouth 1. Now keep in mind, these past few weeks we've been doing this without key players. No Maddison, no Bentancur's only just returned, no Romero, now he's currently injured, no Mickey van der Ven, he's injured, no Manor Solomon, he's been injured. I can go through even Perisic. Ryan Sessegnon has just come back. All of them obviously are not key players. There were about 3 or 4 that were. But we're doing this literally with a depleted squad that we have to literally rotate each and every week. But as we're doing it, we're getting better. We are getting so much better. Teams try to figure us out, but because we play so differently each and every game, some of the phases that we have are incredible, especially with Porro and Udogie, who literally play as inverted fullbacks, who do the underlap. They don't overlap, they do the underlap, which is so difficult. And obviously, when you've got so many players in attacking phases like that, it's going to cause a whole bunch of confusion. And that's what we've been doing. Bournemouth are on a really good run as well. We've been doing that to a lot of teams lately, actually. They've been on really, really good runs, and all of a sudden they play us, and then it just stops. Newcastle were doing it, Everton did it, and now Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth actually played really, really well. Really, really well. I thought they were excellent first half, and I thought they were excellent second part. So first part of the second half. So their goal was absolutely warranted, but we just have the better players. We executed our game plan. Which was to obviously try to sort of break down what Bournemouth were doing, and obviously try to hit them on the counter, which happened on very, 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 very few occasions. And we got through. We got in, and we put our chances away, which I think was a difference. So a good win for us. We now sit 1 point behind the title contenders, Arsenal, 6 points behind the actual title contenders, Liverpool. And yeah, we've already signed Timo Werner, striker, obviously ex-Chelsea. Signed it from RB Leipzig on a 6-month deal with the option to buy him. And I think that's about 15 or 16 million euros as well. We've been frozen out at Leipzig, funnily enough. I thought he was a hero there, but clearly not using him. So we're going to see if we can ignite his career. And I think under Big Ange, we will. I believe we're getting Dragusan over the line as well. I understand Napoli are now actually in pole position for him because they've actually given him a better package deal. We need to go back into that and get that complete, because we do need another centre-back, absolutely, this season. Anfield, game of the week for me. This was Liverpool 4, Newcastle 2, and I won about 600 quid on this game alone. Had everything, as Liverpool Newcastle always does. There's always goals, there's always drama. And Liverpool played up to it. Mo Salah obviously leaving Liverpool with a gift before he went to the African Cup of Nations. He ended up with 2 goals, missed a penalty as well, but still was my man of the match. Newcastle I thought were really good, still suffering with injuries. I believe now they are currently on a run in the Premier League of 1 win in their last 7. I think. Something along the lines of that. Obviously, I know Newcastle won yesterday in the FA Cup, beating Sunderland, but they need to pick it up quickly. Newcastle will slide down that table very, very quickly if they don't back up their ideas. And we'll obviously get into the reason as to why that may be the case when we get into the games for next round. West Ham versus Brighton, that was 0-0. nothing more to be said. Probably the worst game I've ever seen in my life, to be quite honest. It was such a poor game. I thought West Ham would go out all guns blazing. I thought Brighton, after what they did to us last week, would come out, show a bit more, fight a bit more determination. In fairness to Brighton, they were probably the better team on the day, but what a terrible game. And that's all I've got to say about that. So, match day 21. Few games are going to be off or postponed, or I think a couple of games got moved actually. But I'll only go on what I can see. The first game is the opening game at Stamford Bridge. A nice West London derby as Fulham come to visit. Chelsea have already been to Fulham and beat them mercifully. Mercilessly. And I think Chelsea probably will do the same to Fulham again. I don't think it'll be that much of a big scoreline. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win here for Chelsea. But I'm not going to be surprised if Fulham pull out a result here, because Chelsea, again, not in great form. Yeah, we'll go with a Chelsea 1-0 win here, I think. Newcastle, Manchester City. That is a Saturday night kickoff. That is from St James's Park. So I would usually say Newcastle to win this. But Manchester City are going to be back on form. Newcastle aren't on the best run. It's intriguing. I do see both teams scoring. I absolutely do see that. Yeah, we're going to go with Manchester City win. I'm going to go 3-1 on this one. Everton versus Aston Villa. That will be on Sunday at 2 o'clock. That is a Aston Villa win for me. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, to be quite honest, but I think Aston Villa do take this. I'm going to go 2-1 there. Manchester United versus Tottenham. That's from Old Trafford. That's at Super Sunday as well. Tottenham have a few coming back. Van der Ven, I understand, is fit. Romero is currently in training. Maddison currently in training. Timo Werner will be registered by then, and I see him probably starting on the bench. Spurs are in good form. Probably got one of the best away records in the league. Manchester United are very hit and miss. 2-1 Spurs, I'm going to go with. 2-1 Tottenham on that one. Burnley versus Luton. That's on Monday the 15th. That is from Turf Moor. Burnley went to Luton and beat them 2-1 there already. And I think Burnley are probably going to turn Luton over again. I will go with a very, very, very slender 1-0 win to Burnley. Burnley have been playing some really, really good things. And I do see that upturn coming for a couple of weeks at least. And then they'll be back to the drawing board. Saturday the 20th. That is Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. That's a 12:30 kickoff. Crystal Palace like to go there. They do like to go there and cause upsets. I just don't see it this time. I do believe Arsenal win this. We're going to go with an Arsenal 3-0 win here. Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. That is a late kickoff on Saturday the 20th. That is a draw for me. I'll go 1-1 on that one. Sheffield United versus West Ham. That is Sunday. That is live from Bramall Lane. West Ham, I think, will take that. We're going to go 2-1 win there. Even though Sheffield United have tightened up a bit more since Chris Wilder's come back, I still think West Ham will have a little bit too much for them. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. That is also on Sunday the 21st. That is from the Vitality Stadium. Tough one. I believe Liverpool probably win that slenderly. I'll go with a 2-1 win there as well. And then we have Brighton versus Wolverhampton. That is from the Amex Stadium. That is on the 22nd, which is the Monday at 7:45. And I will go with a Brighton win there, 2-1. So that's my roundup for the week. Obviously, match day 22 will be from the 30th of January, and that looks like, I think it will be a night game. But we'll obviously get into that. That will obviously be the penultimate day of the transfer window as well. So any more transfers I do hear about, I'll obviously look to let you know in the video that I do next. But I hope your Christmas was good. I hope your new year was well. Start with the means to go on this year. This year is the year that we all see what real success is. I'll do you another video soon in a bit. Cheers, people.